Romeo, like, I don't care how much success I had, how much money I had, I was still a little kid.
Romeo Miller has always been someone who seems to have it all together. From a young age, he shined in the spotlight, making fans and critics alike take notice of his talent, charm, and discipline. But over the past few weeks, shocking news has shaken his fan base to its core. Suddenly, the picture of the boy who became a star and kept his life in order doesn't seem so clear anymore. People are asking questions, looking for answers, and wondering how someone who appeared so strong could be facing such struggles. It all started when whispers began circulating online, rumors about serious health setbacks, personal betrayals, and financial stress. At first, fans tried to dismiss them, hoping that it was just typical celebrity gossip. But when Romeo himself began posting cryptic messages, sharing heavy emotional statements on social media, people started paying attention.
I gave 110% to myself. I have these conversations with God. It's like, look, just focus on you, and I'm gonna send that right lady there.
Yes.
You know, but it's just one of those situations where it's like, you know, Romeo is still looking for his Juliet, but it's not about the end game for me. I feel it's perfect.
What nobody expected was that these posts weren't about hype, clout, or drama. They were cries for help. Fans across the world began flooding the comments with messages of support, asking, "What's happening? Are you okay?" Romeo Miller isn't a stranger to hard times, but this felt different. Unlike the usual ups and downs of celebrity life, this was raw, emotional, and deeply personal. People who had grown up following his journey could feel it in every word he shared. There was an unmistakable weight in his tone, the kind that comes from battling battles most people will never see. And for many, it was heartbreaking. A man who had survived so much, who had been a role model and inspiration to so many, was facing news that no one could have predicted. To understand why this moment hit so hard, you have to look at the story of Romeo Miller's life, because the path that brought him here was never simple.
To deal with somebody where you know they're on the edge of, taking their self out.
Yeah.
I've dealt with that with my family, where it's like, I could be the most positive person in the world, but that doesn't mean your brother or sister or your cousin or your best friend or your boyfriend or your girlfriend is gonna have that same mentality.
Yeah.
So
Right.
make sure we check up on our friends,
Yes.
you know, and at the end of the day, all we can do is pray. Like, God is the key, truly.
Yep, I see
God
you.
is
Romeo was born into the spotlight. The son of Master P, one of the biggest names in hip-hop history, he grew up surrounded by fame, music, and influence. But from the very beginning, it wasn't just about following in his father's footsteps. It was about carving his own identity. By the time he was 11, Romeo released his debut single, My Baby, which quickly shot up the charts. He wasn't just a kid riding on his father's name, he was a star in his own right. His self-titled debut album even reached number 6 on the Billboard 200, cementing him as a young talent the world couldn't ignore. At the same time, Romeo balanced acting. His Nickelodeon show gave fans a glimpse into his life, blending reality with fiction in a way that made audiences root for him. He portrayed a teenager juggling school, family, and music, mirroring the challenges he faced off-screen. And through it all, Romeo maintained an image of respectability, discipline, and dedication.
My life actually changed a lot. I was in a very terrible car accident. And I keep it very public because if you really know about life and the Bible and God and how the devil works, the devil can attack what you don't speak, right? That's why the power of the mouth, pause, get that out there. Ladies and gents, we're trying to do something positive, right?
Parents trusted him, kids looked up to him, and the industry saw him as proof that a young star could grow up without falling into scandal. But beneath the surface, Romeo's life was far from easy. Long before fame fully embraced him, he experienced a trauma that would shape his outlook forever. At just 8 years old, Romeo witnessed a devastating tragedy. A cousin, someone he was incredibly close to, died in a car accident. Romeo had narrowly avoided the crash himself, changing his plans at the last minute. Surviving such a harrowing event didn't erase the pain, it only added layers to it. Watching someone you love die in your arms leaves scars that never truly heal. This moment of loss forced Romeo to mature faster than most kids his age. While others were learning multiplication and spelling, Romeo was grappling with grief, guilt, and the fragile nature of life.
Master P's daughter, Romeo Miller, found dead at 29. Sorry to hear for your loss. They hinted towards mental illness and substance abuse, but didn't say the exact reasons for her death. Hope everything gets better.
It shaped how he interacted with the world, teaching him caution, awareness, and the value of protecting those he loved. Even as he danced on stage, released music, and acted in front of cameras, he carried this quiet weight. It wasn't something that could be masked. It followed him everywhere. Years later, tragedy struck again. In 2022, his younger sister, Romeo Miller, passed away at only 29 years old. She had been struggling with addiction for years, and Romeo, along with Master P, had worked tirelessly to help her. They even shared parts of her journey on growing up hip-hop, hoping to guide her toward recovery. But addiction is unpredictable, and despite all their efforts, the disease took her life. Romeo's grief was profound. On social media, he poured out his heart, speaking openly about the pain of losing someone so young and close. He mourned not only her death, but also the life she could have had, the moments she would never experience, and the love she left behind. This loss reopened wounds from his childhood, and he began confronting buried emotional pain. He realized that fame and success couldn't shield him from heartache or fix family fractures. His relationship with his father, while strong, had also been tested. Following Tatiana's death, minor conflicts with Master P became public, showing the struggles of navigating grief, family loyalty, and personal expression under a public microscope. Romeo was learning that life didn't come with a script, and sometimes the reality behind the fame could be far harsher than anything on screen. And then, in May 2024, Romeo faced another life-altering event, one that could have ended everything. A serious car accident left him with severe spinal and neck injuries. For weeks, he couldn't move properly and faced an uncertain future. The young man who had danced on stages, acted on television, and inspired so many was suddenly confined to a hospital bed, relearning how to sit, stand, and walk. It wasn't just a physical battle, it was mental and emotional. Recovery was long and grueling. Each day brought a new challenge: lifting a leg, sitting without support, taking a step. The process tested not just his body, but his spirit. Yet Romeo refused to give up. Leaning on his faith, his daughter, and the support of those closest to him, he fought through the pain. Social media became a window into this journey, showing fans the tears, struggles, and slow victories. Even through the darkest moments, his resilience shone. But just when things seemed to be stabilizing, 2025 brought fresh turbulence. Romeo experienced a serious setback in his spinal recovery, with nerve damage making movement painful and exhausting. At the same time, rumors of betrayal and mismanagement in his business ventures began circulating. A trusted manager allegedly mishandled funds, leaving Romeo to pick up the pieces. His absence from public appearances fueled speculation, while his social media posts grow heavier, emotionally charged, and cryptic. Statements like "trust is earned, not given," and "sometimes healing means disappearing" left fans worried, confused, and desperate for answers. The pain wasn't just personal, it touched every aspect of his life. Fans who had admired his resilience felt the sting of seeing him vulnerable. Friends, colleagues, and supporters were left in shock, watching a man who had always seemed unbreakable face one challenge after another. And it wasn't just the physical setbacks or financial strain, it was the emotional toll of years of trauma, loss, and expectation finally catching up with him. Despite everything, Romeo remained committed to his craft. In 2024, even during recovery, he starred in and produced Lifetime films that mirrored his own experiences, exploring themes of addiction, family struggles, and healing. These projects weren't just work, they were therapy, a way for him to process grief while offering hope to viewers facing similar challenges. Beyond acting, he continued business ventures in fashion, food, and philanthropy, focusing on programs that promoted mental health, fatherhood, and emotional intelligence, issues rarely discussed in his industry but deeply important to him. Through all of this, Romeo never sought sympathy. He didn't yell for attention or make dramatic statements just to trend. He moved in silence, building a legacy through actions and integrity. Even when the world seemed to weigh heavily on his shoulders, he showed up, worked, and helped others, demonstrating a quiet strength that many admired. And yet, the recent bad news shook everyone. Fans begged for updates, worried for his safety, and tried to make sense of the silence. His cryptic posts sparked concern and conversations across social media, turning comment sections into support hubs. People shared messages of love, encouragement, and hope, trying to lift him up when it seemed like the world was against him. The truth is, Romeo Miller's story isn't just about fame or success. It's about the battles we face when no one is watching, the grief, the trauma, the betrayal, and the physical struggles that shape who we are. It's about resilience, the power to keep moving forward, and the courage to rebuild, even when life seems impossible. Romeo's journey reminds us that not all heroes wear capes. Some face invisible battles, silent struggles, and emotional storms that the world may never fully understand. And yet, through it all, they rise. They keep going. They keep creating. They keep inspiring. So, as fans, as supporters, and as witnesses to his journey, we can only watch, hope, and pray that Romeo finds the peace, healing, and strength he deserves. His story is far from over. Every setback, every heartbreak, every challenge has been part of a path that will lead to a stronger, wiser, and more resilient Romeo Miller. And if there's one thing we've learned from following his life, it's this: no matter how hard life knocks him down, he'll rise again. Romeo Miller has shown us what it means to face life unflinchingly, to embrace struggle, and to keep moving forward no matter how heavy the weight. And while fans may beg for answers today, the reality is that his journey is bigger than headlines, bigger than rumors, and bigger than any moment of pain. It's about endurance, courage, and the unbreakable spirit of a man who has been tested like few others. Romeo Miller's journey isn't over. Through pain, loss, and setbacks, he keeps rising. Stay tuned, because his story is far from finished, and the next chapter could shock everyone.